Bryan Danielson possibly getting pulled from AEW Forbidden Door. Plus, we have an update on other injured AEW stars. And a released WWE star has signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Find out who in a bit. Bryan Danielson tonight will address the AEW audience. This will be the first time that we've seen him since Double or Nothing, I seem to think.
Right, yeah, because he was reportedly injured in the Anarchy in the Arena match.
That is it. Now, in terms of what he will say, we know he'll address Forbidden Door and he'll address the Blood and Guts match coming up. There's some speculation that it's not going to be good news from Bryan Danielson.
No, there were fears immediately on social media just because of the nature of he's coming out to address the crowd. We've seen recently CM Punk did that and announced that he was injured. Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Live has given a bit of insight possibly on this, saying Bryan Danielson has not been seen since Double or Nothing when he suffered an injury during Anarchy in the Arena. Nobody will say what the injury is, but I think we all know what it is properly. Now, I don't know what he's alluding to there. I'm assuming a concussion because of Danielson's history and the fact that everyone's uneasy about it, but I really don't know what he could mean there. I'm not quite certain.
I wonder whether it could potentially be concussion.
Just because of his history with it, and no one wants to say that because of the bad association. Alvarez goes on to say, even though they were talking about Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. on Rampage last week, the impression I'm getting as of today is that he is not cleared and he won't be cleared for a while. I'm thinking he may not be doing Blood and Guts, and if that was the case, then obviously that Zack Sabre Jr. match, which was kind of penciled in for this weekend, Forbidden Door, would also not go ahead, unfortunately.
Now, depending on the nature of if it is an injury, if it's a concussion, then absolutely do not do a wrestling at all. If it's something else, there's part of you that would think, could Bryan Danielson maybe have a technical wrestling match with Zack Sabre Jr. that's a lot less high risk, a lot less high octane? You could potentially do that, but again, that's I don't want to suggest that Bryan Danielson should wrestle when he couldn't, or what he shouldn't.
We often get remembered in the worst way that sometimes injuries can come from the most innocuous of moments in the ring. So, I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what he says, but it's unfortunate. But if there's anyone you don't want to take a risk with, it's Bryan Danielson.
Absolutely. This Forbidden Door pay-per-view seems, I think Danhausen's had something to do with it. It seems cursed.
Yeah, it does. It's like the same injury curse that's affecting WWE at the minute. It's just across the top level of the business. Yeah, people are just falling left, right, and centre.
So, because obviously CM Punk factored out until later in the year. Again, as you say about the nature of injuries coming from innocuous places, that was him just jumping into the crowd.
Yes, of course.
All the other stuff, it's him jumping into the crowd. So, like, Punk's out of action at the moment. Jeff Hardy's not going to be competing for a good while. Bryan Danielson, well, question marks. We'll sort those out later on Dynamite. An update on a few other AEW stars that have been tackling injuries from Fightful Select. Lee Johnson hasn't wrestled since May and likely won't for the remainder of the summer. It was confirmed to Fightful on Monday that Johnson's been battling a knee injury and is going to be out of action for the next few months at least. There was a lot of buzz around Lee Johnson getting signed. Yes. I seem to recall. And he's somebody that is someone that with the right people around him, like is a star that's on the bubble in AEW.
I like him. They seem to have him earmarked as a future star from the start. I think he was involved with like the Rhodes family and everything, wasn't he, a little bit? As like their star pupil almost. So yeah, I think that the future's still bright for him, but obviously we hope that he gets well soon. It sounds like knee injuries always sound bad, don't they? But at least it's the next few months, at least, and it's not like he's out for a year. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Hopefully he's all right.
Matt Hardy was reportedly banged up after his Triple Mania Tijuana match over the weekend. So we don't know in terms of how bad that is, but maybe he'll be missing a couple of weeks of action to heal up. And in an update on Darius Martin, AEW source told Fightful, hopefully they'll get him back by the end of 2022, but hardly a guarantee.
He might be the one out of these three that I feel the most for, because obviously he was away for ages, and then Dante, his brother, did really well with having to be a single star, kind of thrust into that realm, and now Darius is back, and now he's not again, and it was so sudden. It was like a 1-2 punch. Like, he's back, Now he's injured again, and it must be horrible for him. I'm sure he's really pleased for his brother and proud of what he's doing, but he must be desperate to join in as well.
Oh gosh, yeah. You could imagine he'd be keen to get out there. Tony Khan had a chat with the Canadian press about moving AEW out of America to Canada. He said, "We're all back on the road this past year, and we've been all over America. I do look forward to bringing an AEW live event to Canada soon. I think we have a chance to really build a strong presence, not only what we've established on television with TSN, but also with live events for the fans." Have we not had an AEW show in Canada yet?
Not that I can recall. And I am one unexpected thing that I enjoy watching in AEW, which I would never really have known because I've not really followed a promotion from its beginning before, live in real time. And I enjoy how excited the crowds are whenever they go to a totally new market. So they've recently done a few shows on the West Coast. The crowds were electric for it. And I like to see what they can do in Canada. And also, if he can manage to do it, Tony Khan, and branch out into Canada, it kind of gives them a reason to maybe push different members of the roster, Canadian ones specifically here. So maybe we'll see the likes of All Ego Ethan Page, or, well, Kyle O'Reilly is getting a bit of a push at the minute, but you know what I mean? It gives a chance for others to shine a bit more.
Because they know that with that crowd, because the Canadian crowds are normally excellent.
It's Bizarro world,
It's
Tom.
Bizarro
They just
world.
cheer, they want to... Oh.
They cheer the bad guys, they boo the good guys. What's going on? They like what they like. Good for you, Canada.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a nice chance if you want to finally sort of give some like a big W to Kyle O'Reilly, who's been kind of this bridesmaid type figure since his arrival in AEW. You could do that in Canada. That'd be a lovely time.
Was this Adam Pachitti's chair, Tom? I feel like you're a giant.
Am I a giant today?
I feel like someone very tall was in mine, and
Now,
that's... Oh no!
No, I'm just checking
I
the
don't want to
levels
mess with it. I don't want to mess with it. I'll stay down here.
I'm not too sure whether I'll lower mine a little.
It's
bit.
all right.
Okay.
It's okay.
You're watching the news.
Do you want me to start the next bit?
Load it a little bit. I was going to throw to you for the final
on.
bit. So here's the throw. Finalement, look who formerly from WWE is in New Japan. Here's Jacqueline Moore.
Yes, Kushida, the one-time WCPW Pro Wrestling World Cup champion Kushida, has returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He did so in the closing moments of New Japan Road on Tuesday. It was after Taiji Ishimori successfully defended his IWGP Junior Heavyweight title against Hiromu Takahashi. Then Kushida appeared and revealed that he had once again signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling and said that he wanted to spend the rest of his wrestling life with New Japan, which makes sense. He was a stalwart for them and that junior heavyweight division for many, many years. Then went to WWE. It didn't work out for him, which is a shame because he is really talented and one of the best wrestlers in the world. But now he's back in Japan, and we'll see how he does in New Japan, where I guess there's probably going to be a lot of mutual... He'll want to repay them for all the faith they showed in him over the years. They'll probably want to repay him for coming back. I think we could see something very good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him back in somewhere where I think he will thrive.
Yeah,
I really would love to see him thrive there. You mentioned that he was the WCPW
Pro Wrestling World Cup
winner, Kushida.
Yes.
I enjoyed your chat with Ross the other day about the WCPW roster.
Thank you, on the tier list.
Yes.
That's up on the channel now.
You can watch that now. Two Gary YouTubes going through WCPW and their stars.
Ross would probably want me to, and I would like to as well, to clarify. It's not how good we think they are as wrestlers.
It's what we want to happen.
No, it's how they were. It's how their storylines went, how they were utilized, how things went for them in WCPW. So, for example, Pete Dunne's not very high because even though he's an amazing wrestler, and we'd never argue anything apart from that, in WCPW, we never really used him to his full potential. So that's an example there. Whereas Adam Pacitti is higher up than Pete Dunne because he was doing really well. He was used really well. And
he was used to his full potential.
He was used to his full potential.
Feel free to air your grievances or love for the WCPW tier list on the channel right now. Yes. And we'll have more news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.